The sweet potato casserole on my fork turns cold before it reaches my mouth. Victor's words slice sharper than any carving knife at the table. "You're nothing but a leech, Rowan. It's time for you to leave this house." The antique clock ticks from the living room, each second loud enough to measure the silence he leaves behind. The same clock I paid to have repaired last month, when its gears froze and no one else cared enough to fix it. Across from me, Ivy's glass trembles in her hand. 17, too young to be hardened, too old not to understand. Her wide eyes cling to mine for a second before darting back to the table. Marlene, my mother, pretends to rearrange green beans she hasn't touched. She won't look at me. Not once. I chew anyway, forcing myself to swallow. The taste is ash. Around me sits the meal I made, turkey basted every half hour, potatoes whipped smooth, 3 pies baked before noon. Victor never left the recliner, Marlene scrolled her phone, and Ivy floated between them, silent. 20 minutes ago, I'd told them about my promotion at the firm. Now Victor calls me a parasite in the same breath he uses to demand I leave. I could remind him whose name glows on the electric bill above our heads, whose card covered Marlene's last doctor appointment, whose paycheck paid the water filling these glasses. I could remind him of the fridge humming in the kitchen, the one I replaced in July when the old one died. But none of that matters. Not here, not to them. Instead, I lay my fork down and smooth my napkin beside the plate. My voice comes out calm, deliberate. I understand perfectly. The words hang heavy, not angry, not tearful, just final. Victor blinks, expecting shouts or sobs, not composure. His knuckles whiten around his fork. Marlene finally speaks, her voice small and hurried. "Rowan, you'll still cover my insurance this month, won't you? I've got that appointment on Tuesday." There it is. Not daughter. Just debit card. Not family, just a signature at the bottom of checks. I gather my plate and Ivy's empty glass. "Of course, Mom. I'll take care of it before I go." My voice is steady though my chest feels hollow. In the kitchen, steam fogs the window above the sink. Outside sits my car. The only thing I own outright. The only thing tethered to me and not this house. I rinse my plate, scrape food into the disposal, my mind already cataloging every bill, every appliance, every account in my name. Ivy joins me, placing her plate quietly beside the sink. She doesn't meet my eyes, but her fingertips brush my wrist. A fleeting gesture, fragile solidarity. It's the closest thing to love I've felt under this roof in months. Hours later, my suitcase lies open on the bed. The digital clock blinks 1:18 a.m. as I fold sweaters with mechanical precision. No tears come, only the rhythm of leaving. I pull open my desk drawer for my folder of insurance forms and receipts, proof of every dollar I've poured into this household. But something unexpected sits beneath them. Paper bank statements, all in Victor's name. Strange, I thought everything switched to electronic after Marlene lost her job. My stomach twists as I flip through them, a balance swelling each month, 4,000 in July, 5 in August, nearly 7 now. A glossy brochure slides out, a fishing boat dealer's catalog. Victor's handwriting sprawls in the margins. Down payment, $5,500. Schedule delivery after Thanksgiving. My throat burns. While I paid for utilities, Ivy's internet, even Marlene's checkups, Victor has been stockpiling money for a boat. Another envelope catches my eye. A letter from a credit bureau, addressed to me. It mentions an inquiry for a retail card application. I never applied. A slow, cold realization unfurls. They've not only drained me, they may be using my identity. I sit on the edge of my bed, bank statements trembling in my hands. The house is quiet except for Victor's snoring down the hall. I stare at the evidence spread across my lap, the betrayal laid out in ink and numbers. For the first time, I stop thinking like their provider and start thinking like their opponent. If they see me as a resource, then I'll become something else entirely. A record keeper, a witness, a wall of proof. I slip the bank statements into my purse, zip the suitcase, and sit in the darkness, wide awake. Thanksgiving was Victor's ultimatum. Tonight, I make mine. The suitcase waits by my door like an accusation. Every sweater folded, every document stacked with surgical precision. Still, my chest feels tight. I can't leave without knowing the full scope of what they've done, so I sit cross-legged on the carpet, a lamp glowing low beside me, and build my arsenal. I pull out receipts for the refrigerator, the carpet, Ivy's school laptop. Even the desk I bought when remote work started. I slide each into plastic sleeves, organizing them by date, by purchase, by account number. I photograph them, upload copies to cloud storage, then tuck the originals into a binder. If Victor dares accuse me of theft later, I'll be ready. Paper is power. A soft knock breaks the silence. The door creaks open and Ivy slips inside, eyes darting like she expects Victor to leap from the shadows. She freezes when she sees the open suitcases. The binder at my knee. "You're really leaving?" she whispers. I glance at the hallway, then back at her. Dad didn't leave me much choice. She closes the door quickly, keeping her hand on the knob. "Mom told me they're turning your room into storage, after the boat comes." Her words land like a slap. "Boat?" Ivy nods. "The one Dad put the deposit on last month. They've been planning this for weeks. Waiting until you paid the November bills first." The binder slides from my lap as I stare at her. "You knew?" Her face crumples. "I wanted to tell you, but Dad said if I warned you, I'd be next." I want to be angry, but she's still a kid. Still trapped. I take a breath. It's not your fault. Fear is his favorite tool. Mine is paper. And paper wins. Her lip trembles, but she nods, relief flickering across her face. She hesitates again. "There's more. Those medical appointments Mom's been having, the ones you've been paying with your insurance?" My stomach knots. "What about them?" "She came home last week with her lips all swollen. Said the doctor told her not to drink through a straw for 2 days. Ivy rolls her eyes, mimicking Marlene's dramatic sigh. "It wasn't a checkup, Rowan. It was fillers." The room tilts slightly. I've been rationing groceries, counting coins at gas pumps, while Marlene uses my insurance for cosmetic injections. I pull out my phone, opening my banking app. My balance stares back at me. $763.42. 3 months ago, I had over $9,000 saved. Supporting this household bled me dry. Another month here, and I'd have nothing left. "Look." I show Ivy the number on the screen. "This is all I have left. That's why I'm leaving now." She bites her lip hard. "Dad said if you try to take any furniture, he'll call the cops. Even the stuff you bought." Of course he did. I shove more receipts into the binder, flipping to the section marked furniture and appliances. Every desk, chair, and mattress purchased with my card, each stapled to the original statement. My insurance bills, utility statements, all proof in my name. Ivy shifts, her voice barely audible. "Mom told me today they need your social security number again. She said the insurance was asking, but I don't think that's true." A chill races down my spine. I reach for my purse and pull out the credit inquiry letter I found. "They've already tried once. If they get into my credit..." My voice trails off, the reality too big to finish. Ivy watches as I tuck the letter into the binder, my hands shaking. She whispers, "What will you do?" I close the binder with a snap. What I should have done months ago. Protect myself. At dawn, I haul boxes to my car, moving like a thief in my own life. My breath clouds the frosty air, and every slam of a car door feels like a gunshot. By the time the sun burns gold across the horizon, my room is bare except for the furniture I can't take. I photograph everything I leave behind, proof it was mine. Ivy lingers by the porch, arms crossed against the cold. She doesn't say goodbye, but as I turn the ignition, she raises one hand, subtle but steady. By the time I pull away, I've already decided. I won't confront them at the table. Not yet. The reckoning will come with receipts, not raised voices, and I'll be ready. Cass's apartment smells faintly of jasmine tea and takeout noodles when I drag my boxes inside. It isn't glamorous, a secondhand couch shoved against a cracked wall, blinds that don't quite close. But to me, it feels like sanctuary, a roof without judgment, a place where every bill isn't a trap waiting to be twisted into debt. Cass Tran, my best friend since freshman year, pulls the suitcase out of my hand with a nurse's brisk efficiency. "Rowan," she says, "you look like you've been chewed up and spit out by Thanksgiving itself." Theo, her roommate, waves from the kitchen, a golden retriever bounding beside him. The dog barrels into me, tail wagging like a metronome. "This is Mango," Theo announces. Terrible therapist. Works exclusively for belly rubs. Mango flops at my feet, nudging my hand insistently. For the first time in days, I laugh. It feels strange in my throat, fragile and almost foreign. That night, on Cass's pull-out couch, I start constructing what she calls Operation Firewall. My laptop glows in the dim light as I work through a checklist I've scrawled on a yellow legal pad. Step 1. New bank account at the credit union. I transfer every cent of my remaining 763.42s into it, locking the door behind me with a new PIN. Step 2. Passwords. I reset every account, from email to streaming services, layering them with two-factor authentication. Cass hovers over my shoulder, reminding me to use passphrases instead of birthdays or names. Step 3. Utilities. I spend hours on hold, calling company after company, asking to remove my name. The representatives confirm what I already feared. Marlene called just yesterday, trying to reinstate service in my name. One even chuckles. Smart move cutting ties. Your mother sounded insistent. Step 4. Fraud alerts. With Cass's encouragement, I freeze my credit with all 3 bureaus. It's tedious, humiliating even, but necessary. Every keystroke feels like sealing cracks in a dam that's been leaking for years. By dawn, my notebook is filled with case numbers, confirmation codes, and the names of every customer service agent I spoke with. My wall of evidence grows taller. 3 days later, while Cass works a night shift at the hospital, I sit with Mango curled against my legs. My phone buzzes. Aunt Ruth. I answer reluctantly. Honestly, Rowan, she scolds, her voice crackling through the line. I never thought you'd abandon your parents when they need you most. I grip the phone tighter. Did Victor mention that he kicked me out during Thanksgiving dinner? He said you stormed out after a little disagreement. We're having a family meeting at my house this weekend to discuss your behavior. I hang up before my temper burns through. They've already rewritten the story. In their version, I'm not the provider who kept the lights on. I'm the villain who abandoned them. I don't notice the pounding at the door until Mango jumps up barking furiously. Heavy fists thud against the wood, shaking the frame. Rowan! Victor's voice roars, muffled but unmistakable. Open this door right now. My heart races. I motion Mango to stay back and creep closer. Through the peephole, I see his face flushed red, veins bulging in his neck. He slams the door with his fist again, then his boot. The wood splinters. Mrs. Elms, the elderly woman across the hall, cracks her door open. I've already called building security, she shouts, her voice quivering but brave. Victor whirls toward her, spittle flying. Mind your own business, lady. Her door slams shut. The hallway lights flicker as the elevator dings. A stern voice cuts through. Sir, step away from the door immediately. Officer Lin Nguyen, the building's security, strides forward, hand on his radio. Victor growls. This is my daughter. I have every right. You have no right to damage property or threaten residents. Police are on the way. I back away from the door, shaking, as sirens wail faintly in the distance. Minutes later, 2 uniformed officers cuff Victor and lead him down the hall, his shouts echoing like a curse. You're destroying this family, Rowan! I give my statement calmly, binder open on my lap, my voice steadier than I feel. I list the harassment, the fraudulent accounts, the attempted break-in. Every detail logged, every receipt ready. When the officer asks if I want to press charges, I hesitate only a second. Yes, and I'd like a restraining order. For once, the law is on my side. The morning after Victor's arrest, I'm hunched over Cass's kitchen table when my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Had to pawn your laptop and camera to cover the electric bill you left us with. Harbor Pawn on 7th Street. You owe me $300 plus interest. Marlene. I stare at the screen until the words blur. Those items were worth over $2,000, tools I used for work. Now reduced to pocket change in my mother's hands. Cass finds me frozen there. She reads the message and shakes her head. That's theft, Rowan, with a confession in writing. So I call the police. Officer Priya Patel meets me that afternoon, a no-nonsense woman with sharp eyes and a steady voice. I hand her the text, the receipts, the serial numbers, even the original warranty cards I'd saved. I'm meticulous, I admit, sliding the binder across the table. She nods, almost impressed. That's going to make my job much easier. By evening, she calls back. Harbor Pawn logged everything. Intake photos show Victor carrying the boxes while Marlene signed the ticket. The CCTV footage confirms it. My parents, shoulder to shoulder, selling off my belongings. When Officer Patel delivers the news, something inside me clicks. For years, I wondered if I exaggerated their selfishness, if maybe I was too sensitive. But the camera doesn't lie. They sold my future for $300 and smiled for the receipt. Patel assures me the items will be recovered, but she warns of possible identity theft. Your mother using your insurance for elective procedures, your father's credit attempts. These aren't just family disputes. These are criminal matters. I nod, heart pounding. Then I'll treat them as such. 2 days later, Patel accompanies me to the Hale house for supervised retrieval of my remaining belongings. As her cruiser parks in the driveway, curtains twitch across the street. Neighbors who once whispered about my ungrateful streak now lean closer, waiting for the show. Marlene opens the door, smile stretched tight until she spots the officer. Her face falls. "This is unnecessary." "It's protocol," Patel says coolly. Rowan is here to collect items documented in her name. I walk straight to my old bedroom. The shelves are bare, but my desk and bookshelf remain. I hold up receipts stapled to credit card statements. "These are mine, purchased 2 years ago." Patel compares paperwork to furniture, then nods. She takes them. Marlene sputters. "That furniture belongs to the family." I meet her eyes. So does the refrigerator. So does Ivy's laptop. So does the carpet in the living room. "Would you like to see the receipts for those too?" Her lips press into a thin line. She retreats without another word. As we carry the last box out, Victor's truck pulls into the driveway. My stomach knots when I see my spare car parked behind him. He's driven it here. He steps out, jingling keys in his fist like a trophy. "We need to talk about what you owe us before you drive away with this," he sneers, gesturing to my vehicle. I set down the box and pull a folder from my bag. "This is the title," I say, holding it high. "And this is the registration, both in my name." Patel steps forward, hand outstretched. "Sir, hand over the keys." Victor's face reddens. "I paid for her braces, her college tuition, 18 years. "The keys, Mr. Hale." His hand trembles before the keys clink into Patel's palm. For the first time in my life, I see him deflate. His shoulders sag, his eyes dart away, and the bluster drains out like air from a punctured tire. I take the keys, slip into the driver's seat, and close the door. Through the windshield, I see neighbors gawking openly now, no longer pretending to water plants. Witnesses to the truth. As I start the engine, Ivy appears on the porch. One hand lifted in a hesitant wave, her face pale but proud. My chest tightens. She's still trapped there, but she sees me. I drive away with Officer Patel's cruiser behind me, boxes stacked high, my belongings reclaimed. For the first time, the road ahead feels like mine alone. 3 months later, my studio apartment smells like cinnamon and roasted turkey. The space is small, one window, scratched hardwood floors, a thrift store table that wobbles if you lean too hard. But it's mine. Every bill on the counter bears only my name. Electricity, water, renter's insurance, all current, all affordable, all proof that peace has a paper trail too. I run a hand along the accent wall I painted deep teal one Saturday morning. No one told me the color was too dark, or a waste of money. No one rolled their eyes. I chose it, I liked it, and that was enough. Cass and Theo arrive first, arms loaded with bread rolls and a mismatched set of glasses they found at a yard sale. Theo's golden retriever, Mango, bounds in like he owns the place, tail wagging, nose immediately buried in the turkey aromas. Then Ivy steps hesitantly through the door. She looks different, taller somehow, not in inches, but in the way she carries herself. She hugs me tightly, clinging longer than she ever dared back at the Hale house. "This is beautiful," she says, glancing around my tiny apartment. "It's secondhand everything," I laugh, "but it's honest." We gather around my little table, dishes pressed close together, elbows bumping. Cass raises her glass of cheap red wine. "To found family, and boundaries worth keeping." Glasses clink. Ivy smiles, really smiles, the kind I haven't seen since she was a child. Later, while Theo wrestles Mango for the last bread roll, Ivy and I sit at the counter, scholarship forms spread between us. She twirls a pen nervously. "I'm not sure I can even afford dorm housing." "We'll figure it out," I tell her. "FAFSA, appeals, housing waivers. There are programs for students from unstable homes. You'll have more options than you think." Her eyes soften. "You know all this stuff?" "Because I had to," I admit. "Now you don't have to do it alone." As I highlight a section on housing assistance, Ivy lowers her voice. "They lost the house last month. Dad says it's the bank's fault. Mom blames the economy. They're staying with Uncle James now, but he's already hinting they need to leave." I pause, pen hovering. "And me?" "They still blame you." Ivy sighs. "But honestly, Rowan, you just sped up what would have happened anyway. Without you paying, it was only a matter of time." Her words should sting, but they don't. They feel like truth. Clean and steady. That night, after everyone leaves, I sit alone with the quiet hum of my refrigerator. The one I bought. The one I chose. I check my bank account. 2 months emergency fund built back. Slowly growing. My job promotion covers my rent with room to save. For the first time, the silence around me doesn't feel like exile. It feels like ownership. The unopened letters on my bookshelf catch my eye. 5 envelopes from Victor and Marlene, all in Marlene's looping cursive. I haven't read a single one. They sit there like relics of another life, reminders that boundaries aren't always walls, they're doors you choose not to open. Still, I wonder, if family who betrayed you beg to return, would you let them knock again? Or is peace the rarest inheritance you can give yourself? I stroke Mango's head as he dozes at my feet, his steady breathing grounding me. For now, the answer can wait. Because tonight, my table was full. My laughter was real, and for the first time in years, Thanksgiving belonged to me. The first warning comes not from my parents, but from Aunt Ruth. My phone buzzes on a rainy Tuesday morning, her name flashing across the screen. Against my better judgment, I answer. They've lost the house, Rowan, she says without preamble. The bank foreclosed. Victor is furious. He's telling everyone the system is rigged. I lean against the window, watching raindrops snake down the glass. The system didn't max out credit cards for boat deposits or pawn laptops for pennies. That was all him. Ruth hesitates. They're staying with James for now. He's already complaining. I know things were tense, but maybe you could... No, I cut in. I'm not their bailout plan anymore. That afternoon, a thick envelope arrives in my mailbox. Inside, a letter on cheap stationery, Marlene's handwriting curling across every line. Rowan, we can work this out. Drop those ridiculous theft reports and identity claims. Come home. Your room is still as you left it. We'll tell everyone you were just overwhelmed, not unstable. It'll be easier for the family to understand. The threat beneath the plea chills me. If I don't comply, they'll brand me unstable, weaponizing shame to cover their crimes. I gather my evidence binder. The receipts, bank statements, pawn tickets, even the CCTV still Officer Patel gave me. I flip through it like scripture. Proof of every dollar, every lie. For once, my voice doesn't tremble when I whisper, not this time. At the police station, Patel meets me in the lobby. Her dark eyes are steady, her tone firm. We can proceed with both the theft case and the attempted identity fraud. You also have grounds for a civil claim for damages. I want to file, I say, every charge I can. She nods, then adds, there's another option, mediation. Sometimes it resolves things faster. I think of Marlene's letter, of the veiled threats about my state of mind. They don't want resolution, they want control. Then court it is. Weeks pass. My parents' narrative, Rowan, the ungrateful child, begins to crumble. Mrs. Elms gives her witness statement about Victor pounding on Cass's door. Harbor Pond provides the footage of my parents selling off my equipment. Even Ivy quietly submits a letter confirming Marlene's cosmetic appointments billed under my insurance. The weight shifts. For once, the truth is heavier than their lies. On the eve of the preliminary hearing, Marlene calls. Her voice trembles, softer than I've ever heard. Rowan, we don't want this to get uglier. Think of Ivy. Think of family. If you withdraw, we'll forgive everything. Forgive? My laugh is sharp, humorless. You stole from me. You lied about me. You tried to destroy me. You'll regret dragging us through the mud, she snaps, her tone sharpening. People will remember you as the daughter who ruined her parents. I glance around my apartment. The teal wall, the thrifted table, the organized binder. I think of Ivy, safe in her dorm, laughing freely for the first time in years. Let them remember, I say. I'm not the one who pawned their child's future. I hang up before she can answer. Months later, I sit in the courthouse hallway, binder on my lap, waiting to be called in. Victor sits across from me, shoulders hunched, eyes darting anywhere but mine. He looks smaller now, diminished. Marlene's makeup is cracked under fluorescent lights, her hands twisting the strap of her purse. For once, they are the ones waiting to be judged. I close my eyes, steadying my breath. Whatever the judge decides, I know the truth. I am no longer their resource, their scapegoat, their hostage. When Officer Patel steps out and calls my name, I rise, my binder tucked tight to my chest. My past behind me, my evidence before me, my future finally my own. Because peace, I realize, isn't inherited, it's claimed. A year later, the teal wall of my apartment catches morning light, brighter than I remember it. My table, still wobbling, still secondhand, holds fresh flowers in a jar. Around it, laughter rises. Cass, Theo, Ivy, home from college, even Mrs. Elms from across the hall. Mango thumps his tail underfoot, waiting for scraps. The turkey is smaller than last year's, but it's perfect. I set it down with both hands, and for a moment the room stills. My chest swells. This is what Thanksgiving feels like when the chairs are filled with choice, not obligation. Ivy squeezes my hand before we carve. She's thriving. Part-time job, good grades, a dorm that feels more like home than the house we grew up in ever did. You taught me how to stand on my own, she whispers. Cass raises her glass. To Rowan, who proved that family is who you choose, not who demands. The clink of glasses echoes like music. Later, when the dishes are piled high and the laughter fades into quiet conversation, I catch sight of a shoebox on my bookshelf. Inside are unopened letters, my parents' handwriting still curling across the envelopes. I haven't read a single one, and maybe I never will. Because sometimes the bravest thing isn't reopening old wounds. It's leaving them sealed, proof of where you've been, and how far you've come. I turn away, back to the table, back to the family I've built. And for the first time in years, I feel whole.